Well, I'm contemplating changing the podcast thing because I just don't like saying, hey, you want to do a podcast? Podcast.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And it's become a thing, but it's like maybe we need to say PC, maybe politically correct needs to move the fuck out of the way so we can have television, PC.
Oh, yeah.
You know, come do a PC instead of podcast. And I'm like, maybe we should call it a show.
Yeah.
A FM.
Yeah, like a chat, yeah.
Yeah, but then chat, I'm like,
Is it an interview?
You know what I mean?
It's an interview.
It's kind of a light conversation.
Yeah, but it's a whole.
It's a light conversation.
Yeah.
You know, let's say that. So I'm here with Chef Connie McGuire. What's up, Chef?
Hello.
Currently a chef instructor at Truffle Shuffle University.
Yeah, MD.
Fucking Douglas Avenue in Oakland.
707, baby.
You know, that's right. How long you been working there now?
I have been at Truffle Shuffle for a year and change. But I've been teaching for a few years. So
okay.
Yeah, so I actually got into teaching. My whole family is kind of teachers. Both of my aunts are elementary school, and one of my other aunts is an ESL teacher. So
right.
lot of scholars, if you will, in the family. My Grammy also, she was a housewife, and then she went to teach. She went to be, I forgot what you call a nurse that helps deliver babies, helps like grab a kid.
A midwife?
But like the professional term, like a whatever that was, like a nurse, not a wet.
Mrs. Midwife?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Midwife extraordinaire.
Yeah, exactly.
And so she also was like really like everyone just got educated no matter what.
Right.
And my dad was a lawyer for many years, but also would teach law and still kind of helps. He's like semi-retired, but still kind of helps, teach the young immigration lawyers like all that good stuff. So just from a family of just very curious people, super nerdy, love to learn. And so after I left the restaurant scene, I went into teaching because I kind of fell into it. It was, I took a job after I left the Progress here in San Francisco, and it was an event sort of teaching job where you basically like taught people like very small cooking tips, but it was more for like team building. But I kind of loved that whole teaching someone to cook in person. And so when I heard about Truffle Shuffle, I was like, yeah, I'll take this job. That's no problem.
Right.
Yeah. But,
got you.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. So for a bit, but that was a huge reason why I took the job, because I had already been doing it before.
Okay.
Like a hot second. Yeah.
All right. Well, here on Sucio Talk, we're going to take it all the way back.
Oh, my God.
Where were you born?
I was born in Monterey Park, California.
Yep.
SoCal. And I moved around a lot when I was a kid. My parents got divorced when I was like, I think I was like 9 months. I was like itty bitty. So they were like, it was a cultural clash. My mom, born and raised in Taiwan, and my parents met in Taipei, and then my mom moved to the States in like the 80s.
Right.
To basically like, they got married right away, got pregnant right away, and then it was just like a really big cultural clash. I think my mom wasn't ready to move from Taiwan, and I think my dad was like, I love you, Dad. He's a little stubborn, like myself.
Right.
So, it just didn't work. But honestly, after they divorced, they became super close. And my dad actually paid for my mom to go to esthetician school and to beauty school so she could like kind of
have a gig.
Yeah, have her footing. She came to this country, didn't know a lick of English. She taught herself all the English that she knows.
Right.
Which is pretty impressive. I don't speak any Chinese. So she's like, I want to self-teach myself English. And so she knows 2 of the hardest languages on this planet, just self-taught. And so, I lived with my dad. He was, should I put these on? No, he was a single dad. So we moved around a lot as kids. I think because he just never, I don't know. I'd have to ask him why we moved around a lot. But I think he just liked different sceneries. And then when my brother was 10 and I was 7, we moved to Mexico. We just upped and like left the country. And so,
what the fuck?
Yeah,
why?
So my dad's in immigration. He's been in immigration since the 70s.
Okay.
And he very bilingual in Spanish. He's like this Irish German guy.
Okay.
Just from Southern California. It's like when you hear him speak Spanish, a lot of people will like look at him and be like, "You speak very good Spanish." He's like, "I've been doing it for decades." You know,
it's funny. I actually have a character that I do that's an Irish Puerto Rican guy, and every time I think about my home of Puerto Rico, so it's a character I've been working on for quite a while.
That's actually pretty good. Does he have a name?
No name.
Oh,
that's the only line he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just
Like
pull that one out when
Yeah.
somehow Spanish and Irish shows up.
Yeah, right?
And then I pull that
out. Yeah. So when my dad was maybe like 25, he used to read these books called Master and Commander. It was like a series, like
the
naval
Far
series.
Side of the World.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fucking the
which
greatest movie by Russell Crowe.
I was just gonna say, just watched it recently.
The Crow's Nest.
So good. I know Russell Crowe's still so good in that. And so he always had this sort of just like loved sailing. Was like a huge sailor. He got into it like later in his 20s. And so he was like, you know what? We're gonna cruise Baja, Mexico. We're just gonna do it. So we bought a 35-foot sailboat.
Right.
And he's gonna kill me because I'm blanking on the brand of boat. But we called it Dichosa, which is good fortune in Spanish. And the first boat we had was actually Que Pasa. So super into Mexico. Big fans of Spanish. And he took my 7-year-old self and my brother who was 10. I must have been like 45 pounds. And he was like, all right, we're going to go sail the coast. And so we sailed the coast all the way, Baja, Mexico, all the way down to Panama and then back up.
Right.
So it took about a year and change. And so I just never went to second grade. I just like didn't do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My dad tried homeschooling for maybe 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
It was just like.
And then a wave came and the book went overboard. And he was like, well, that's the end of that.
Oops.
Lost the book.
Yes.
So what was that like? What was life like out there?
It was crazy.
Do you have vivid memories of it?
Yeah. 7's pretty young.
Yeah.
But I think 7's like when you start remembering stuff.
Got you.
But yeah, I remember being completely bilingual at 7, but I lost it along the way. Now my Spanish is not very good, but in my brain I was speaking English, but my dad's like, "Oh no, you were just speaking full on Spanish." Like a Telemundo. It was like perfect Spanish.
Damn.
And I was like, "Oh my God, really?" Yeah, I would introduce myself as Consuela because Connie was too hard to say. And so we started off like just being super adventurous. And yeah, so whenever anyone's like, "Hey, where are you from? Like, where'd you grow up?" And I'm like, well, it's a loaded question.
Yeah, I grew up on a boat.
Yeah,
son.
I grew up on a boat. My dad
know about this.
My dad to this day still lives on a boat. He's just a pirate. He won't change.
Your dad lives on a boat to this day.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Down
What does
in
that
Southern
mean?
California. He's just docked.
Just on the dock?
Yeah, Southern California.
What is that life like? What do you like? Is it? Would you do it, and why? Or why wouldn't you do it?
I mean, I used to.
Right.
But I just got to a point where I was like, oh man, I just like to walk outside and not have things move, you know? And I would compare it to, it's kind of like living in a mobile home, but just on water.
Right.
So same idea, like you're hooked up to something. If you wanted to take this baby and leave, you could, you know? So it's very much like being in a mobile
But
home.
you can like literally leave, like if he wanted to,
right
if he
off,
wanted
yeah.
to just like go somewhere really far, like
Yeah.
Hawaii, could he go?
He would have to do a little work on the engine, but yeah,
Right.
technically yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. So I think that's.
Has he ever done a crazy shit like that?
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, Mexico was pretty crazy.
Not yet.
Yeah. My poor mom, like she.
So this motherfucker. So okay,
Yeah.
your dad read a book and was like, "We're fucking going."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so the cruising thing was like he had fantasized about doing this.
Yeah, and
Like
then
it took years of planning. I mean, this was like.
Okay.
This was like
So
things that you need to know life
He
or
didn't.
death.
He didn't go out there to like basically unprepared.
No.
He went
was
out there
so
with training
prepared.
and like.
Yeah, he was like certified. He like took a bunch of courses. He was also he almost made it to master diver, but didn't quite. So he was like really like certified scuba diver.
Right.
So if we ever got like caught, which is a big thing that happens to cruisers, is what you call people who go out and cruise on sailboats for like long periods of time,
Right.
long cruisers. There are chances that you get your propeller caught in fishing lines. So he, like, being a scuba diver was like, all right, I got that covered. Like, if we ever get our propeller caught in a fishing line, I could jump overboard, get into the water and fix it.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, thinking back on it, I was like, well, that was insane. You're like, your two kids are up on the boat and you're like in the water like doing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And we're like, and like I always think about it. I mean, we have a really strong bond because of this experience.
Yeah.
But like 7 and 10, like you can't. If shit goes down, I'm like, oh wait.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we gonna do? But my brother was like a very great older brother. You know, like he was like the kind of brother that the second I was like able to like be taken care of, he was like taking care of me. So it was like a really good dynamic, but it was crazy. That was crazy.
So when you came back to land, what happened?
Oh, so we came back after a year. So this was in 92. Is that right? If I was 7?
Yeah.
97. So 97. Totally skipped second grade. And we came back to live with my Grammy for like a hot second just to get like our bearings. My dad had closed his practice for a minute. And then he was like, you know, slowly reopening the practice in downtown LA. And then, we just came back to third grade. I was like an honor roll student, like didn't really need. My dad was kind of worried because he's like, I didn't school you for a year, but we read books. We did math books. You know, back then I loved doing like math problems.
Okay.
And so, I mean, second grade, like what do you really learn in second grade?
Yeah.
In the 90s. Now, dude, second graders are like doing
they're-
algebra and shit.
Yeah,
It's insane.
too much for me.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you guys, like my cousin's like 10 years younger than me. And I'm always like, I always saw what she was learning. And I was like, dude, we were like learning colors. And shit. I was like putting square pegs into square pegs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what
and
are you
fucking that up somehow.
Yeah.
Like my
It was
quizzes in
challenging.
second grade were those 2 quarters and a dime.
Oh my
And
God.
it was like, guess this change. I was like, I know this. Although I had a babysitter who would literally take my math homework and just answer all the questions.
Just for funsies?
And give it back to me.
Oh, what a,
Just, yeah.
what a lovely person.
Yeah, she would just do all my homework for me. And I thought at the time that I was winning.
Yeah.
But really, I was losing.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there has a babysitter, don't let her do your homework.
Don't enable. Let them learn.
You
Let them
probably shouldn't be
fall.
listening to the show anyway.
Yeah.
But here we go. I wonder if any kids listen to this.
I doubt it. I mean, they should.
I mean, they can.
They should.
It's not like it's like unavailable.
It should be like a.
YouTube asks if your content is for kids.
Oh.
They'll like ask you, is
Oh my
this
God.
made for kids?
And you're like,
And then no.
And you're like,
very explicit. Don't
penis.
fucking show anybody. Yeah, exactly.
is it penis?
Can you say that into the camera one more time?
Penis.
See,
It's for
there we
kids.
go. It's
Yeah.
a chef show. So
At this
here we
point, I would say that the episodes that I've heard, this is a great show to listen to if you are 18 years old and you're like, I want to go to culinary school. You know, I'm like, you do? Great. You should listen to some stories first, my
Yeah,
friend.
exactly,
I wish
yeah.
someone would have like, you know, I mean, I still would have done.
Well,
No regrets.
the
I still would have
information
done.
wasn't there.
Oh no. I mean,
You know, the
yeah,
real information.
the real. I mean, I am 100% a Kitchen Confidential person. Like that was like
The one.
that was the guy.
Yeah.
That was your boy. You
I feel
know.
like this is a live version of that.
Yeah.
Because you get
I
to
totally
learn
agree.
the stories that happen, the stories that are happening now.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody writes a book, it's a time and a place, but a podcast is like a life. Mm-hmm. So you can always
Totally.
talk about it, tell about it, and like really look at things as they happen in the world
Yeah.
and like predict shit, be wrong
Yeah.
most of the time, you know?
I love being wrong.
Just the Sucio shit. you
Yeah.
know, that's right. So you get back from the boat,
Oh yeah.
you're fucking second grade,
Yeah. Crushing it.
crashing at grandma's,
Yeah.
go back to school.
Yeah.
And then what's life like for the next couple of years?
So yeah, we moved around a lot.
You moved around. Okay.
Still moved around.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were in the valley for a bit, and I just. Dude, no, we didn't like it. I think it was just too far from the coast. We're beach people. My dad,
Gotcha.
born and raised Torrance, which is like 20 minutes from the beach. I grew up around the ocean, and so I think we kind of got like this like valley kind of like it's too damn hot. It's too damn hot here. There's no
Yeah.
breeze. So my dad moved us to Newport Beach, California, which is Orange County,
Okay.
which is a gorgeous place. Very different from when I grew up there now. It's got a lot of money in that area, but we lived on the boat. So we lived in this like very wealthy area on a budget is what I like to call it. Cause like we didn't pay rent.
You can't even like go get clothes.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I needed a shirt in Aspen, and I went to this store, and the t-shirts were like $200.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
bro, I just need a shirt. I'm
Yeah.
not like, come on, man.
Yeah. But luckily Newport at the time. It's different now. I haven't been there in a long time, and all my Orange County friends can deny this. But where I lived, we lived on the beach, Balboa Peninsula. So it was like very beach bummy, like very like Taco Tuesdays, and like no one wears anything but sandals and shorts, and
Right.
I'm like I basically lived in a bathing suit. Like I would go to school, take a nap on the beach, jump in the water and go home.
Right.
Lifeguards and stuff like that. And so it was great. It was weird to be a minority, being half Asian
Right.
at a certain time.
Right.
But it was like, but also there's an area called Costa Mesa, which is just above the hill. Mm-hmm. And so it was like very Latino, like great food, like awesome people. So I fit in for a while, but I just like needed to leave. They call it the Orange County bubble for a reason. And so I was like, I gotta go. Like I
Does
don't.
that show the OC on when you were there?
Oh yeah. Honestly, like the OC was on when I was like in high school.
And were you like,
yeah.
Is it like that?
I couldn't afford to live like that,
California.
but I knew some of the
You knew
people.
those dudes?
Yeah, I went to school with some of them. Yeah,
That's
actually.
funny.
Yeah, so. But it was some people's lives were like that, but we were like kind of the more chilled out,
Yeah,
and I
fuck
smoked a lot of weed in high school.
Okay.
Oh my god, like
Stony baloney all the time.
dude. Actually, shout out to my best friend Taylor out there, Taylor Sinclair, looking at you. We actually came up with a restaurant called Stony Baloney's.
Ooh.
But then one day, when I get my shit together, it'll be Stony Ballones, which will be like, a pub of some sort.
Stony Malone's.
Yeah, right? Stony Malone's would also be.
Stony Malone's.
Dude, if you ever see Stony Malone's on your
Stony
Google.
Malone's Irish pub.
Yeah, on Yelp, go.
Dude, that's
say
a
hi.
great concept for you.
I think so.
If you did fucking, oh, dude.
It's just good pub food, but like elevated. It's literally what I was put on this earth to do. Is to make potato skins and waffle fries. I can't wait. I can't wait to get there. I'm just not there yet. I got to make some change. Got to make some money.
Right.
Make some bread, if you will. And then I'll get there. But that's been my ultimate goal literally since I was like 14 years old.
Right.
Yeah. The fine dining thing I kind of fell into, but it's always been just like very casual food. Like it's always been my passion. But anyway, so I basically was in Orange County for as long as I could handle.
When you were growing up, were you guys cooking on the boat? Was your mom cooking, your dad cooking, anything like that? Or
Sort
did you learn
of.
anything from them?
Yeah,
that
so
realm?
Funny enough, my mom doesn't cook, which
What the fuck,
yeah,
bro?
which is like, you're from Taiwan, what the hell? But she is a great eater, amazing eater. Like I have seen her put down food more than anyone
Yeah.
else, and she's like,
It's usually the tiny ones.
oh, she's always a tiny one. She's
Same.
dude, she's like this teeny tiny woman. She's like 5'5", and she's just like the cleanest eater. Like one time we went to go get crawfish, and she got like 2 pounds, and she got like the XXX, like Nacho Mama's hot sauce kind of
And she
situation.
finished that
Dude,
shit,
she
bro.
didn't, and all she didn't even, not a single bead of sweat. She just goes, "This is really exciting." And then like you look at her little like corner of that, you know how they put the paper down
Yeah.
when you eat crawfish? Not a splash, and she's only used one napkin. As I'm like just like motorboating these crawfish,
Yeah.
like an animal.
That's funny.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I learned how to eat out with my mom, is what I would say, which for me is like a big part of why I love all food, because I ate so many different kinds of food as a kid. Like it would like if my parents were like, if I was like, I don't want that, my parents would be like, then you're not eating.
Right. Same.
It's like,
Same here.
the fuck.
You're not getting up from this table
Yeah.
to eat that whole plate.
Yeah, which I completely appreciate. Yeah. And you're like, okay, no
I
problem.
can't do this.
Yeah. You're like, so it was good. Yeah. But my dad actually, when, so we lived on a small sailboat for a while. And then when I got into high school, he bought a 1955 classic Chris Craft, 55-foot Chris Craft, which I don't know if you've ever seen these boats. They're gorgeous. Like, just like literally the old James Bond movies, like that's what those, like the sexy like speedboats, that's
Right.
what Chris Craft is. So my dad got his 55-foot one.
Right. And is the bedroom is downstairs of the front? Is that where it is?
Sometimes.
Did
So
he have he lived on a boat, so I'm guessing
Yeah.
he had a room.
yeah, so we actually upgraded from our little sailboat to this huge motorboat, which we docked in Newport Beach, and he refurnished it. Like He designed it, and he designed it because he wanted us to have like a real kitchen. So this boat had like a beautiful 6-range gas burning stove, full fridge. And for a boat, that's like unheard of. Like usually everything's like compartmentalized, and it's like when you go into the freezer, you have to like go underneath shit, and it's like kind of crazy. And so my dad built this like insane kitchen. And then when we were super young, he used to love Emeril Lagasse, like love Emeril Lagasse. And is it Jacques and Julia? Remember that show? Not Julia Child, but remember she did it with the French guy, Jacques.
Jacques Pepin?
Yeah, Jacques Pepin. Remember with Jacques and Julia? Remember that show on PBS?
I do.
So he used to watch that. And so he always wanted to like learn the basics.
Right.
So he actually went back to community college to take a few culinary arts classes.
Man.
And so when I was like 17, there was a hot second when we were in college together. And we were taking the culinary like basics, like culinary sanitation, where you basically take Surf Safe.
Yeah.
And then we did like culinary arts, like skills 1, where we like learned how to dice potatoes and shit. And like we were doing that together. And I did it more as like, I think this would be something fun to do. And I was in community college, and I was like taking like English and, you know, math, and like doing all my GE and whatever.
Right.
And so we were learning basically the CIA, whatever that like big ass book they have. You know how they have like it has like all the mother sauces in it. It's like the first book you get at the Culinary Institute.
Oh, the LaRousse?
Yeah, that one. And so we basically just like worked our way through it, like making stocks, making all the sauces, and then kind of like going from that. Basically like just starting from scratch. And then we made like desserts together. And so we always were like really nerdy about it. And then, and then I randomly enough got a job at Starbucks in Lido Island, which is like this little small area in the neighborhood. And the first day they put me on bar, which is where you just basically get crushed making all the like cappuccinos and shit.
Right.
I got
the rush.
Oh yeah, the rush.
You got addicted.
I got the rush, yeah. And so I was like, I'm in. I can do this for a living.
Yeah.
I'm in. Yeah. So it was like a little mix of like, I like to dabble in cooking and like actually like the refined stuff, and then I actually liked like the service of it. And It was funny that it took Starbucks to get me there, but I was like, I'll take it, you know. And Starbucks was a job that I had in high school that basically paid for me, and I got to save up to move to New York, which is where I went to culinary school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to culinary school?
I went to ICE, which is the Institute of Culinary Education.
Okay.
And back then it was in the Flatiron District in New York City.
Right.
Yeah. And at the time, in 2008, it was the cheapest culinary program in the country. So I took it because I was like, I don't want to be in that much debt. And at first I didn't even want to go to culinary school, but my dad was like, you either have to go to college or you have to go to a trade school. I don't want you just like going into life, just like not doing either of them. And so I was like, deal, I'll go to a trade school. And so.
God damn.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had him, bro.
I know.
My parents were like, sign right here.
Yeah.
Sign now. Yeah, he'll make enough.
Yeah.
Sign it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, no problem.
Yeah. Like still fucking 10 years later, I'm like, just live under a dark cloud of
crushing
debt.
it. Yeah.
But you know what I will say?
It.
It makes you fearless of like having debt.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because to do anything, you need to spend money on it. You know what I mean? So it made me like realize that like sometimes there's something more important than paying back your fucking school loan. Like Wells Fargo go fuck themselves. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I'll call you, I'll be like, hey, what's up? Nah, I don't got it for you. And they usually hook it up. You know,
yeah.
Like, all right, cool.
Thanks for answering.
Call you next month.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like for the most, now it's like easy, you know, to make those payments. But like, dude, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when you're making fucking $300 a week, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
You went to CIA and.
I went to Johnson Wales.
Oh, Johnson Wales. That's
Which
what it
was
was.
like
Sorry.
100 G's.
Yeah.
Fucking gross.
4 years or 2?
4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
Bachelor degree.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, BA, what's good?
What's up? I think that was mainly it because my parents didn't go to school.
Yeah.
So, or they went and never finished.
Sure.
And they were like, you need to get your bachelor's. So I was like, when bachelor's meant something. Now it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
You got to get your master's. And I'm like, study more? I don't understand it. You know?
Yeah.
I never understood school.
It's too much structure. I think
Yeah.
we were talking earlier. It's like, I don't like people telling me what to do.
Yeah, I'm a freak show. Just,
Yeah.
Give me a dish and don't look at me for 4 hours. and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
see you when
exactly. I just want to be a machine.
Exactly.
Just for a minute. Yeah.
I am a machine.
Yeah.
So you go to New York. How long is this program?
6 months.
6 months.
That's another reason why I was into it.
Right?
Yeah, because
And
I
then-
was like, get me out. I went in, I went out.
Right.
Yeah.
After the 6 months, what happened?
So I will say, though, Institute of Culinary Education was amazing. It put you in the heart of New York City. And you're literally around the corner from Le Hall, which is Bourdain's, old restaurant. So you're like in it, right? You're just like, holy shit, like this is crazy. And I had just turned 18. So I was like itty bitty, and it was so crazy. I like moved to New York with like 2 suitcases and was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Which is insane for a lot of people.
Where'd you stay?
I stayed in Chinatown.
Okay.
Of course, my dad was like, hey, cheap food. They'll probably serve you beer.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck. And I was like, that is great. My dad actually,
Was he right?
he was right. Yeah. There was actually this, I'm totally blanking on the name, but there was this Chinese restaurant and it's on Mott Street. And you go downstairs and it was like just classic Asian American food, like fried rice, and all like chow mein noodles and all the good stuff. And they would always serve me beer. And I actually went back a few years ago and they recognized me. It was really sweet.
That's
and they were like,
dope.
you used to come in here with your brother. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, and then of course I didn't want to tell them. I was like, 19 years old, just like drinking Tsingtao's like all night
Damn.
long. Yeah. And it was across the street from my apartment. But so anyway, so I went to culinary school and it was a great program. You do 8 to 12. And then part of the program is that you do a 6-week internship. But the great part about that place is that they open a lot of doors because these chefs are like, fuck yeah, give me that free labor. I'll take that free labor any day. So I got the door open for a voce, which was like kitty corner from the school. Like you could like see it from the window, right by 11 Medicine Park. It was like right on that same little street. And so I just like sent my email out to Chef Hillary Sterling. It was like, hey, I'm still in this program, but I would be super down to like hang out for a few hours after school. Because 8 to 12, I'm used to working 10-hour days. I'm like, the fuck am I going to do with the rest of my day? So I was like, of course I like partied a lot. I had a pretty cool group of people in culinary school. And we would go out a lot. And then I was like, man, I like kind of want to start cooking. Like that's what I was doing.
Right.
And so I would go there after school and then 2 weeks into just like staging for free, they were like, hey, would you want a job here after school or after you're done with your program? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And they were like, well, would you want to just start like, 8 to 12 and you would work 1 to midnight? And I was like, yeah, why not? And like, that's, when you're 18, you're like, you don't need sleep.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it. Sure. Why not? And so I worked there for about 2 years. And Avoce was like, Missy Robbins is a badass. She's like an author. She's like, just like really, really is a great chef when it comes to Italian American food, especially in New York. She was like a badass and she was a hard ass and like really kicked the shit out of me. Like,
Yeah.
which was, I needed it. Like at the time I was like, this is fucking tough. Like this is like mental, like it's exactly what they said it was going to be like, and there was like a moment where, she like sat me down and I had like a really bad service. I was like 18, man. Like I was a shit cook when I was 18 and I knew that full-heartedly.
Yeah.
And she was just like, she like looked me straight in the face and she was like, I think you should choose a different career. Like genuinely. And I was just like, fuck,
Yeah.
and I like was like, okay. And so I stayed, like I was like, okay, heard. And so I contemplated, I was like, yeah, maybe she's right, like maybe I'm just not cut out for it. Cause I'm like, I'm a sensitive flower. I don't care. I know that now, and this was just like one ring of my little trunk of a tree that I would get through. And then I was just like, all right. And so I put in like I think it was like a 6-week notice. I was like, sure, I'll
Right.
wait till you get someone else trained up. Cause we were open lunch and dinner. So it's like the staffing was like non-existent.
Right.
So we were working doubles, we were working 6 days a week, all that stuff. So I was like, hey, find someone else. I wanted to do the right thing. And then my buddy from culinary school hits me up and he's like, hey, we're looking for people. And just like out of the blue, I haven't talked to this guy in a long time, Tommy Cuomo. And he's like, hey, do you want to stage with me at this restaurant I'm working at? It's really cool. chef's really awesome, really nerdy, like science food. And I'm like, sure, I got nothing else to do. And then he's like, all right, come meet me at WD50. And I was like, okay. I had like never really heard of WD50
Right.
at the time.
At that time.
Yeah, I knew it was on the Michelin star list. I was like, I knew of it because
Yeah.
I had the Michelin star list like printed on my wall as like inspiration or whatever. A young Connie. And I was like, sure, why not? So Missy Robbins is like, hey, and you know, when I'm saying goodbye to her, she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I think I'm going to step out of fine dining and just like relax, you know? And then she's like, oh, cool. And then she's like, well, what are you doing next? And I was like, well, I have a stage at WD50. And she's like, huh. And it was my way of being like, I'm still going to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I know I did a shit job here.
Have you
but
talked to Missy Robbins since?
No, but she's a badass. I got nothing but respect.
She
but
fucking made it, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck. Yo,
no,
because
she is the reason why it was fuel.
yeah,
She
for sure.
she was fuel, and honestly, like it was crazy.
You have no idea
It
how
was
many
mental,
fucking times you
man.
hear, oh, you can't cook, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
season,
Yeah.
you can't do this. And it makes you like want to do it. But I will say that there was probably a bunch of other, maybe 100 other 18-year-old kids that not saying Missy Robbins, but just using her as an
Generally,
example,
yeah.
told them that they couldn't fucking cook anymore and they believed it.
Yeah,
And
no,
they
for
left.
sure. Yeah,
And then you say, oh, we have a staffing crisis. No one wants to work. This is fucking why.
yeah,
Because you fucking held people back.
Yeah.
You told people they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then now we don't have anybody to pick from because
my
you
God.
thought that you knew better,
yeah.
right? But then you kept doing it and you fucking did it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with this fucking industry.
That's-
we just
yeah.
like drew everybody away and then we're like, where is
What
everybody?
happened?
I have staffing problems.
Yeah.
You remember 12 years ago when you told an 18-year-old that they didn't fucking belong here?
Yeah. I was like, you're probably
Don't
right.
know.
You're probably right. But who does? My
They're
God.
banking right now, probably selling insurance.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, yeah. We're going to
Bullshit,
9 to
Connie, I'm
5.
telling you. Bullshit.
I loved it though. I mean, she is so fucking good at what she does.
Oh,
though.
for sure,
Oh
for
my
sure.
God, her food
100.
is so. We went to oh my God, I'm blanking on that restaurant in Brooklyn, Lilia.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Amazing meal.
I went there too. It was
Best meal I had.
fucking fire.
Yeah, best meal I had
Fire.
on that trip.
Did you eat at Carbone?
Yes. Yeah.
You ate at Carbone and Lily on the same trip?
No, not the same trip. No. I've
Okay.
eaten at Carbone. I've eaten at Parm.
Would you say
Separately.
that Lilia or Carbone? Which one?
Ooh.
Because I went to Lilia and someone was like, go to Carbone.
Oh.
And then I was like, told another person I went
Yeah.
to Lilia and they're like, oh yeah, way better than Carbone.
Yeah,
But
I guess it
those two seem to
depends.
be
Yeah.
the ones.
Yeah. The cool thing about Chef Missy, excuse me, and also Chef Hillary Sterling, who was really my chef there. Like, she was a CDC. She was the one who, like, you know, pat my back when I was crying in the walk-in and all
Yeah.
that good stuff. But they are not, I mean, I think Missy Robbins might be part Italian. I think she's mostly Polish. Well, anyways, but they're, like, huge Italian food nerds, though, you know? So what was cool about the menu at the time was that we would change it based on different regions. And so for me, I thought it was like really awesome because it was like I was learning Italian food, but like Italy's so big. And so I was learning like different stuff. So for me, Carbone is like Italian American with like Michelin fusion, whereas like Missy's food is like regional Italian. So it's like different. I guess it's like I couldn't choose between the two. I'm also terrible at choosing. But it's like I don't know. It depends on what you're looking for, you know. So
Okay.
yeah. I kind of want to go back to Carbone though.
I want to go back to both those places.
Yeah, Lilia was
That's what we're going to
really
do with
good.
Sucio Talk, baby.
Yeah, if you
Taking
go to
this
New
shit
York,
global.
dude, if you go to New York, I want to go. We'll do a little food tour.
Connie, we're going to have a day where Sucio Talk will cater some shit. And
Yes.
We're going to chef for it.
I
And
will
we'll pay
chef
you
so hard.
millions of dollars. You'll never have to work again and you can live on your own boat.
Yes, I know.
Sail
I can't
to
wait.
the event.
Yeah, right? Oh my
It'd
God.
be like, all right, I'll be there in 14 days.
Save my spot. Save my spot in line.
Hey, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, 102, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 latitude. Fucking, well, I don't
I'm
know.
like-
I don't know that shit.
I'm Northeast, yeah.
You're a sailor.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you leave there, you go to WD50. What is that fucking stage like? And
That's
also,
crazy.
does Andres work there?
No. Oh my God.
Okay, so this was before
funny.
him.
Andres from Snail Bar, yeah.
What year is it?
So
What
this
year
is
is it?
year.
I feel like Jumanji right now.
I know.
What
Robin
year
Williams
is
coming
it?
back. I just rewatched that movie, Jumanji.
It's a great movie.
Oh, it's such a good movie. Robin Williams, R.I.P. What a guy. Shit, what year is this? So I'm under 21. I remember this because I turned 21 at WD50. So it must have been 2010. And dude, my stupid ass didn't take any time off. I couldn't afford it. And I lived in New York for 5 years, and I lived in Chinatown, lived in the Lower East Side, and then I moved to Brooklyn, and that's when I could like actually afford to live there.
Yeah.
Because just like you were saying, like when I worked at Avoce, I made $308 a week. $308 a week. And I was like, this is insane. Like, this is crazy. But luckily, you know, you eat at work. Luckily, like, you really don't do laundry because you just change into your chef coat, right? They like provide you a uniform. So it was like doable, but I just remember like eating like all my days off, which were like few and far between at this point. A lot of rice, a lot of sriracha. You know, I was like, yeah, eggs, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, maybe a bok choy.
Delicacy.
Get a little bok choy in there once in a while.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't take any time off. And so I think it was like Memorial Day weekend or one of those like Mondays you have off. And so I took Saturday, Sunday, Monday after working 2.5 years of just straight up 14-hour days, 6 days a week,
Getting
doubles,
roasted.
Lunch and dinner, getting
Crying.
mentally roasted, crying, drinking too much, all that good shit.
Yeah.
And
Bad decisions.
oh, so many bad decisions.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Oh my God, the Lower East Side in 2009, so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so fun. It's so different now. Now it's a little more, like bougie, I guess. But back then it was just like dive bars everywhere. No one checked your ID. It was awesome. For a 19-year-old, I was living it.
Yeah.
And then like paying for it the next day, of course. But yeah, so I took like that Monday off, and then Tuesday I go in, and WD50 was like such an insane kitchen, and Avoce was it was like a kitchen where it was in a big building. So like the prep station was like downstairs in a basement next to like the trash room, you know, and like the whatever the driveway is when like people like load shit in, like the loading dock.
Right.
So it was just like intense. And so WD50 is this like beautiful kitchen with like this like, you know, personalized made, you know, range, and the downstairs kitchen is like organized and clean and beautiful, and like the one
Like
of the
Panda
porter.
Express beautiful. You've seen those bell peppers. I'm like, is that produce fake?
You're like, it's wax.
It looks
It's
so
made out of
beautiful in
wax. Yeah,
there.
it was crazy, and you know, and it was just like a beautiful kitchen, and I actually didn't meet Chef Wiley until like 2 weeks into the.
Where was he?
I forgot where he was, and
What was the CDC?
John McNelly.
And
This gentleman, John McNelly, yeah.
Gotcha. So he was basically running.
He was running the show, and the generation that because you know how
You got
you
generations, of
you got
course.
classes and whatever. The class I went into was a lot of these like older cooks who were awesome, but they had been around the block. You know, they were like all maybe 20, 23. I was like 19, you know, and I was like spunky and like full of life, and they were just like, who the fuck is this bitch? Like, she's too happy, which honestly to this day have never changed.
Yeah.
Like some people have complained that I'm too spunky, and I'm like, why? Who cares? They're
Be
like,
yourself,
yeah.
girl.
I'm like, girl, I was like, dude, I get to come to work every day and cook food. Like, I don't know why you're so angry.
Yeah.
Like, you need to relax.
Fucking
It's
bitter
food.
cook chefs.
It's food. Everyone take a minute. But
Fuck them.
yeah. But this generation was good because they were like, a lot of them had staged in like these like insanely, you know, fine dining areas. So I was learning the like very like, yes, chef, like everybody helps each other out. No weak links. Like, we're all in it together.
Right. You're only as good as your weakest link.
Exactly. But like very much so. But then we're doing like, you know, we're making hollandaise that's like breadable and friable, you know,
Right.
and we're making like egg yolks that are like set and cylindrical, and we're just doing all this like crazy shit. And I'm just like, you know, like I was like so stressed out when I got there because someone asked me one time to make buttermilk ranch dressing for his family meal.
And I was like, wait a minute, does it need to tell time as well?
Yeah, I was like,
It,
and then, you know, when you get nervous, everything, you know, all the things you've learned to like go out the window.
Yeah,
And so I'm
yeah.
like, what? And it's like buttermilk ranch. And like, thinking back on it, I was like, bitch, is mayonnaise. Like, relax, you know, splash a little buttermilk in there, you'll be fine. But I was just like so nervous, and I was like around all these like insane cooks who had just seen some shit.
yeah.
And then I just remember like I walked outside and just like I took a walk around the block, and it was like a really beautiful block. It's like in the Lower East Side where it was, and I just was like, okay, you're not gonna go down over Buttermilk Ranch. Like that's not how this is gonna go down. So I came back in, I fucking made the ranch, and then my ranch was too thin, and this really sweet cook came over, and he was just like, you know, he's this Georgia boy, and he just goes, "You want to see a trick?" And I go, yeah, sure. And he takes my buttermilk ranch and puts xanthan gum in it. And he's like, boom, bitch, it's fixed. And then he was just like, he like left me alone. And then I was just like, it was so sweet. And I was like, oh, you can work in a kitchen where people help you. Like that's okay, you know? And it was, I am so grateful that I didn't quit and I went there, because I learned how to cook with a team at WD50, like, to the fullest degree, you know, like inside and outside of the kitchen. And like to this day, like so the people that I met there, I have stayed in touch with and will probably know for the rest of my life. So it was like a really great kitchen because one, it like, you know, Henry Frey put molecular gastronomy is a super huge
on the map.
Yeah, on the map. Like he was a huge influencer on making that.
It was him and Alinea for the, in the United States for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at
everyone
the
else
cuisine,
was copying the books.
Yeah. I mean, he's all over modernist cuisine. It's like kind of insane. And so it was cool to meet him for the first time. He's a really kooky guy. And and then I just learned how to play with food in a sciencey way. And so
how was service though? Like a tasting menu? Like what?
Yeah.
How many courses?
So when I first started working there, it was a la carte and tasting. So it was a la carte, and then we did like, I think it was six course tasting menu. But we had such a fun front of the house staff that we would get like a lot of regulars. And so it would be like people just hanging out in the bar and stuff. And so when I first started working there, we were really busy, like super busy. And basically I started on garde manger, and garde manger was like a really, really hard station. Like it was like, so one half of garde manger was tasting, the other half with a la carte. And when I first started working there, my buddy Tommy, who got me the job or got me like into the door, he moved to Entremet. So I was like, my buddy, like he's gone. And then the individual I was working with was this like kind of this, he was a drug addict to say the least. He was having some issues, and like he would disappear for like hours during the day. And so I would come in at like 8 a.m. and stay until 1 a.m. because I was just like, I cannot get my list done. I just can't do it. And so I was so in it that I realized that like, oh, this list isn't split in half. He's making me do almost all of it. And then I was like, oh my God.
How many hours was he gone for?
It would be like 4 or 5 hours. He would just go. And I just didn't realize.
Did he always come back?
Oh, and then he would just be like, oh, why isn't this done? Why isn't this done? It was just like so crazy. And so it was just like.
Did anybody else know what was going on?
Yeah, eventually, yeah. Eventually,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
But it was like one of those things where I just like, I was 19, you know, and I never really seen that before. You know, like I did drugs, of course. Like I was like been smoking weed since I was like 14, but I never seen like that frantic energy. And then like, you know, in the hospitality industry or in the kitchens, it used to be pretty rock and roll, like back in the day. And so I'm like starting to see this sort of like rock and roll mentality. And so I get through this like really crazy phase in my first couple of years, or my first like 6 months there. And then I get another partner. And I was like, oh my God, I was doing all of it. Like I was doing like a big portion of it. But because I did that, Chef Wiley was like, oh, this girl's like, she can hold it down. And so when you work at WD50, if Chef Wiley likes you, you move straight to fish, because that was the station that was right next to him. And so there were a couple times that people got like sort of moved before me, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like I get it. And it was more of like garde manger is like you're holding it down, because this is like one of the hardest stations, because as you know, garde manger is the first bite that people get. And if it's not good, then the whole meal is going to be bad. So they were like very like, you know, really put that on us. Like, dude, if it's not good, it's not good. So we need you to hold it down. And so afterwards, when I moved to fish, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. And so I got to work with Chef Wiley, like hand in hand.
1 second.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Did we break it?
No, we didn't break it. We're good.
is a perfect opportunity.
Boom, yeah.
We're back.
And we're back
And we're
from break.
back.
I was just thinking, yeah, because on YouTube, if you have like branded shit, they like they tell you to take it off.
Oh no.
To edit my video.
Yeah. We're drinking coconut water.
I only rock a Scoffia and Truffle.
There you go. Truffle Shuffle. Heard of him?
Sucio.
TruffleShuffleSF.com.
That's it.
Plug it in.
So did he get fired? The drug guy?
Oh, yes. And
Okay.
apparently he's doing really well, which is great.
Good.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Awesome.
So, yeah, which sometimes you just need a slap in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But, yeah, the guy was great. It was just like a tough for me to deal with. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, my God, you know? Because
Yeah.
if you go in and you come in all hot and you're just like, yeah, and then I'm just like, ah.
What's going on?
like,
Yeah.
oh, my God.
That's funny.
Yeah. So,
How long did you end up at WD50?
like 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. So,
Did you make it to Sous?
no, I left
Okay.
before. So
Heard that.
not that I was offered the job, but I was torn on for a long time,
Gotcha.
which
Is that-
for me was awesome because it was like a sous chef without the responsibility. Like I was the reliable one, you know, and then I didn't have to like
And then you'd
do
have to
ordering
take
and
the
shit.
brunt of the order for
Totally, yeah,
for like
yeah.
shit gone wrong.
But the way that WD50 did it was if you were on Garde-Manger, you were in charge of your orders. If you need produce, you have to write it on the board. If you need this, so they put you in charge of your inventory, which I think a lot of restaurants should do because it teaches cooks like that sort of responsibility of like waste management, making sure you order your stuff on time, knowing what's in the walk-in, all that good stuff. And so when you got to fish, you ordered your own fish. When you got to meat, you ordered your own meat and all that stuff, right? So it was like...
It's good sous chef training.
It's great sous chef training, but it also frees the sous chefs up to like not do that, you know? And like,
Right.
you know, and of course, like...
You're actually a real chef de partie.
Yeah, exactly, which I feel like that has really gotten lost in translation, and I feel like that... I mean, or I'm just not working in kitchens that I already
Yeah.
didn't work that did that anymore.
I think that people, or it's gotten like safer.
Yeah.
And I think we rely on this, like, we don't want to let people make mistakes. And I've been told even before, like, oh, you can't let them see you make a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's like, let them see me make a
Yeah.
mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then they know I'm human. And then they can do the same that I can do, you know, or even better. And it's just a sad thing that we go through in the industry, and people just, like, tell you that, and then you just believe it. You're like, all right, yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to
Like,
think any differently.
Fuck that. Yeah.
Damn.
But it was cool. And then, so that generation kind of left, the ones I started with. And then Sam Henderson, you beautiful bitch, wherever you are in this world, she became the CDC after John McNally because Wiley opened up Alder in the East Village. And so Chef John McNally went to go open that place up. And so when that happened, Chef Sam had, I call her Chef Mom, she had been at Publican. She had gone to Chicago for a stint. Really cool story. She was actually in publishing for a long time, and she started marathon training when she was like, I think she was like in her early 20s. And then she was like learning about nutrition because she's like fueling her body to run. She's run like, I think like 13 marathons in her lifetime.
Right.
I might even be, I think it's even more. She's like a badass.
Right.
And so she started like learning about food, and then she started, you know, cooking. And then she just one day was walking by WD50, knocked on the door, and was like, I would like to work here. And so she was like, she literally started from the bottom, and then she worked all the way up to entremet, and then she left to like go see some other kitchens, right? Because she wanted to keep going and keep working there. But I feel like whenever you get promoted in a restaurant, if that's the only restaurant you've worked at, you need to kind of get your ass kicked somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do some high volume, you know, like work in a bar, just like learn the fry station, you know, because that gets that just a different perspective. And so she did. That's what she did. And she went to Publican, and I think she worked at another restaurant in Chicago. But anyway, she came back. I immediately fell in love with her. She's like a fucking woman. She's a badass. She's like so incredibly smart, great snacker, you know. And then so she became the CDC, and I got to like kind of be there when she got promoted, and I was like super excited to learn from her. And then this chef JJ Basil, who had also worked with Sam.
Basil.
You know Chef JJ Basil?
I think so.
Yeah. that's one of my dudes right there.
Whoa.
Sam and JJ. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was the sous chef. She was the CDC. It was fucking awesome. I loved it. And so that was like the generation. And then I would been there for about a year, and then Andres' generation comes in. So you got Andres, who's now a Snail Bar. You have David Yoshimura, who's Nisei. And then, you know, obviously, I'm trying to think who else was in that generation. You got a few other people who stage, and it's like that kind of, they were like probably in their 22s, but it was funny because they were coming in and I was like the senior cook, and I'm like, you know, 21, 22, but I'm like, all right, bitches, let's not fuck anything up, shall we?
Yeah.
I don't want to get yelled at today. But no, it's cool. It's like, it was really neat. And then other people who were in my generation was like Simone Tong, who owns, you know, Little CC in Little Tong. Sorry, Simone. Totally got that wrong. And then you have Reggie, who is, I think he's working at Carbone now. But he is a badass. He worked at the Spotted Pig for like years. So really cool group of people, and just like super fun food, you know, sciencey food, good shit. And then, yeah, we worked really hard, and then we partied even harder. And then
It's the way to do it.
yeah, I was there for 4 years.
How the fuck else are you supposed to do it?
Yeah, it was great. It's such a family. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
And then, and then I moved home because Grammy was getting pretty old. So I only had one grandparent. So when Grammy turned like 90, I had been in New York for about 5 years, and you know, it's hard to get home. You see your parents maybe once a year if you're lucky.
Yeah,
you know,
if they come to visit you.
Yeah, and they. Like, my brother came to visit me once, my dad came to visit me once, but this was also during, you know, after recession.
Yeah.
So that hit my
Your
go ahead.
family pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like another factor to it. But yeah, but you know, when you're kind of, you know, you talk to your grandparent and it's like the memories kind of going, and I kind of was like, you know what, I think it's time to snuggle up a little bit. And so I'm happy that I did, because it was like I had a few more years with her. And it was good. Like, it was good to be there for Christmas. And, you know, and then she kept being like, are you moving home from New York? And I was like, I moved home. She's like, oh, that's great. And then she would say that like 4 or 5 times during the like hangout. The course of the day. And it was like, she was awesome. And so, yeah, I moved home because of that. And that was like, I had worked to Tournant at WD50, and I think if I would have stayed if I didn't have obligations at home. But I was a little burnt out. 5 years in New York is a good amount of time, especially if that's not the lifestyle you want, you know.
Yeah.
Not seeing a nature for months.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the horizon, you know.
Or the horizon.
It's like, holy shit. And you don't realize it
until
you leave, and you're like, look at this
fuck?
sky. Yeah, you know? And I'm not saying New York doesn't have parks and stuff, but compared to Northern California, it's like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. So I kind of was like ready to go. So I moved back to California, and I tried LA for like a minute.
What'd you try to do down there?
Just try to like live, you know? Yeah. I don't really love driving, which is hilarious because now
you have to do.
Because this is now what I have to do. But I lived in New York for 5 years, didn't own a car. And then when I was in LA, I like had to get a car, and like having to drive to jog is like such a ridiculous thing to say. But like, I'm trying to go on a jog, and I need to drive somewhere where it is joggable. In some areas, I'm not saying all LA is like that. You can find little pockets in LA that are beautiful, and a lot of my friends live there, and it's great to visit, great to snack, great to visit, great to fuck right off. You know, like, I'm like, this has been great. I jump in the ocean, and then I come back home. I'm like, this is amazing. And I see my whole family, and everyone, all my family's pretty much down there.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it. I wanted to, because it would be a lot easier for my family to see me. But I just was like, I just can't do it. I just don't want to move here. So, but I lived there for a year, you know. I like just smothered my dad with as much attention as he could handle, you know. Like, was just like, we're gonna hang out every day.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, that was the best year ever. He's so sweet. He was like, that was awesome. And then the person I was dating at the time was moving. We met at WD50.
Right.
And so he was like, I think we should move to San Francisco. And I was like, all right. And so I wasn't like, he was like, I'm going to stage at like all the fucking big Michelin star places. And I'm like, dude, I'm more of like a 1-star, maybe even Bib Gourmand kind of girl.
I'm taking it easy. Did that cause a strife?
No, not really. Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get you because I was in that same boat. And then the girl I was dating at the time kind of wanted to stage at the same place I was staging. And I'm like,
see.
let's not do that. You know, 'cause we already worked together one time.
How that?
So it was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Because no matter what, your personal life spills into your work life.
Yeah.
You can't balance the two.
Yeah.
Unless you like keep it on schedule. You're like, oh, the alarm clock went off. We're business now.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
You can't do it.
Yeah, you're like in the walk-in and you're like, you're just like your mother. You like walk out.
Jesus Christ, Connie. What the fuck is going on?
I'm just kidding. That's
a
joke.
true quote from Connie said to Andres Giraldo Flores in 2015.
I think that's a Dane Cook joke. I think he's like talking about being in a fight with someone. And there's like, and he's like, oh yeah, you know what? You're just like your mother. And you just say some like fucked up shit,
and
you know?
He says, he's talking about making up too.
Yeah.
He's like, you go over,
you gotta do one last stab. Yeah. All dry, I guess.
Yeah. I'll try.
No, but I get it. But I've never worked in any 2-star or 3-star Michelin restaurants or have staged. So I like watching Chef's Table. Like I like seeing it, but I just don't care that much about pretty food.
I hear you.
You know, and I'm okay with that. I think that's actually better to know that you don't like that, because if you do it for a long time and then you realize this is not what I want to do, it's like, fuck. It's cool to see. I like it. I think that WD50 gave me just like the right dose of it. Because we plated beautifully. I mean, like we had projects that took like 7 weeks. If you got low, you were so fucked. You know what I mean? And so I kind of just was like, I truly know myself, and I just don't want to do what I call tweezer food. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's beautiful, but it's just not. I want to fucking spoon something on.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe swoosh it.
Feed something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I hear you.
I would rather do family meal, which is something that is actually true. And so the progress was great. The progress was like fine dining, service, but the food was like farm to table. The food was seasonal, fermented, Asian influenced. We worked with a farm, like hand in hand. I got to go to the farm like twice a week, farmer's market 3 to 4 times a week.
Most of those 3-star restaurants aren't going to the motherfucking farmer's market.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's like kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's like a total bummer.
It's like a story told on social media, and then you go to these places and you figure out.
Yeah.
Or when you actually talk to the farmers that used to sell to them, they're like, oh, they don't buy from me anymore.
Yeah.
And, it's happened before where you like don't take the name of the farm off your fucking menu and then they'll fucking be like, hey, I haven't sold you lamb in like fucking 9 months, you son of a bitch.
That's weird.
You know what I mean? But you don't update the menu notes because you're like, it sounds good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the
People
day,
know it.
Somebody fucking, if somebody sold you the lamb, then you can announce that. If somebody didn't sell you the lamb, don't fucking say their name.
Yeah, right.
Like, even if you think that you're like showing them off, like that's not their lamb.
Yeah.
And maybe you think it's better or worse or whatever, but doesn't mean they agree. So it's like Amy Ranch is a fucking good example of that.
Amy Ranch.
Because I've seen Amy Ranch, beautiful lamb.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen some people use Superior and then call it Amy Lamb.
Ooh.
And I'm like, bro.
That's such a bummer.
The Superior lamb is delicious.
Yeah.
Shout them out.
Yeah.
That's what you're using.
No, totally. I totally agree. It's nice to just to get their name on a menu.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, when it's true.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's so
Motherfuckers
insane.
out here being like, I got this from this. It's like, if you didn't, then why are you lying?
Yeah.
Why are you lying?
Oh my God. We were so strict on our menu. I remember one time I had like a mental breakdown because I put sea beans on the menu. It was a Gretty, but we only had sea beans. I had a fucking conniption. I was just like, oh my God. And I had to like run up to like the ladies who like print the menu, and I was just like, we have to reprint like moments before service.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like one of those things where I was just like, oh, of all the things to go down on today.
That's the
a
worst.
Gretty, you son of a bitch. Yeah.
That's
I was
worst,
so mad.
man.
I was like, no one even likes a Gretty. And I was
Yeah.
like, I take that back. It's delicious.
So
I take it back.
You start working at the Progress.
Yeah, so Progress for...
Sous chef? Were you coming in as
I
sous
did.
chef?
No. I worked my way up, which...
Got you. Did you work with
I love
Ting
that.
Ting?
Oh,
Brad
Ting Ting.
Pereira?
Yeah, Brad Pereira.
Fucking
Ya boy.
who else?
Spencer Horowitz. Ya boy. Who else do we got?
Has
we
also
got,
been on the show.
Yeah. Gabby Medea, Medea. I always say it wrong.
Gabby Medea?
Yeah, she's a CDC at Statebird. She's a legend. Yeah.
Medea.
I know. Medea, I think. Oh, shit.
God
I'm like, she's
damn
going to be
it.
so mad at me. I've known her for so long. I always say it wrong. She's going to get so mad.
Gabby, don't be mad at her,
Gabby,
right?
I swear
Come
to
to
God.
Sucio Talk, Gabby.
Gab. You should. She's great. And then, yeah, Stuart, Nicole, obviously chefs.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful people.
The legends. And then, Kat Kwan, who's the pastry chef there, also a legend. So just legendary people doing legendary shit.
How long were you there for?
Was it 4 years? I think it was just 4.5.
4.5.
4.5 years.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then what was the
You know, that's honestly that place. Well, I worked my way up. Amazing. Like, it was so dope to work there because David Meyer. Do you know David Meyer? I feel like you know Chef David Meyer.
I actually do. He used to work at the laundry.
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
That was like
I know him from
my boy.
From Tyler.
Yes. Yeah.
Tyler knows him.
And so basically I worked there, worked my way up. It was awesome. Got my butt kicked. Loved it. And then it was cool because we revamped the menu a few times, which felt like just enough of like what opening a restaurant would feel like without having to do like the construction part of it, you know? And when I started working there, they had only been open for about 6 months. So like the original crew was still there. And so they're like telling me these stories of like, man, like we were like literally like put the low boys in, like, you know, we put the low boys in, then we filled it, and then we like scrubbed everything, and then like we opened. And so it was kind of like looking at a restaurant in incubator, and we revamped the menu, I think twice when I was there, which is like a big thing to do. Like it's like,
how did you revamp it?
At first it was like kind of like tasting menu style, but family style. So you would get banchan, and then you would like choose. You would get like a plate full of snacks, and then you would choose, and then you would have to like the whole table would have to get it. So the way that we portion things would be like for 4, for 2. So when you're expediting, you'd be like,
confusing as fuck.
We actually got pretty good at it, but it is after a while. So you were like lamb. Literally, you'd be like
lamb for 2, lamb for 6, lamb for 4, please.
And then honestly, when it was really busy, you're like, okay, I have steak for 6, 2 4s, 3 2s, and a 1. Behind that, I have pork for 2 6s, 2 4s, and a 2. And like that's literally how our language. It was so bizarre, but it made sense. Like expediting it was like kind of intense, but anyway, so it was like really cool to do that. And then I did a stint up at Statebird for a bit, which I loved. So I was like super into that. And I applied to Statebird at first. I wanted to work at the dim sum style restaurant. I loved it. Snack foods, like literally on my resume, it was like snacks. I would like to make snacks. That was the subject line of my resume email. And then they were like, call me like the next day. And it was like, you know.
Dude, those bold claims is what gets you a job.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You gotta be like, you gotta just tell them what you want.
Yeah.
Hey, can I make a lot of money here?
Yeah.
You know, usually the answer is no. You don't get an email back to that one.
But like, Sue.
But you know, hey, can I work for free? That'll get you some attention.
Yeah. You are doing minimum wage. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, so I did that, and then I became the sous chef, which was incredibly educational. Loved it. I would work at the farm. I worked at the farm like a few days. I wish I had done it more, but I was so exhausted by that point, you know. But and so it was cool. Like I would always go in early and like pick stuff and like, you know, pick a radish, put it on a plate. That shit was so tight. It was so awesome. Yeah, I loved it. And like watching our farmer is like just have these microgreens that are just like beautiful. I got to plant microgreens, and like, you know, you're 120 days ahead of yourself, you know, you're months ahead of yourself. And we did the farmer that we used was a dynamic farmer, so it's like crystals. They did like every harvest they take cow manure in a horn and like bury it.
Right.
It's all energies, right? So it's like they're teaching us about the energies. The craziest shit I ever saw was when you would walk into the microgreen room, it would be like stuffy, right? Because so it's insulated, you know, and it's like the sun's like beaming down, and you would go in and your head would feel kind of stuffy. But I would be like, I'm tired. I've had too much coffee. I'm a little hungover. It's a fucking, you know, insulated area. And so Julie, the farmer at the time, she goes, you know, I go in there like a couple months later. She goes, do you feel any different? And I was like, yeah, I feel less like, it feels like cooler and like airier in here. She goes, we changed the crystals. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, we changed the crystals. And for some reason, the energy like changed. And I was like, that's some bullshit. And then I felt it and I was like, oh, there's like some science behind it.
What crystals?
I'm not sure. I don't know. But it's like how you strategically place them. And then as, you know, biodynamic farmers, they change that shit up. Like they'll change it. So if something doesn't work, they'll just be like, okay, let's figure it out. Let's move this to a different part of the land and stuff. So like even they're wrong. They're just like, we're just going to try some shit out. And then this one time they had honeybees. They were trying to get like honeybees going. And the honeybees weren't like, they were kind of being a little lazy.
Yeah.
So Dawson, the head farmer, he put a CD-ROM that had recordings of a happy beehive, taped it with duct tape with a crystal, and put it on top of the beehive. And the next time I saw him, buzzing away, having a blast. And I was like, what hippie shit is this?
What?
Yeah.
Where do they get the crystals?
I don't know. I didn't go that far. That's actually a great question. I don't actually know.
I need to know what kind of crystals these are.
We should put some
That's what I'm saying.
in the Sucio room.
Crystals,
yeah, we need good energy.
Yeah.
Got to burn some sage.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
I'm asking my mom for a lot of stuff that was in my house.
Oh,
like
nice.
VHS tapes.
Oh.
I actually just had Tim Farron here from Bernal.
Oh,
Cutlery.
yeah.
And he, we were talking about Disney and how he used to work at Disney. And
I didn't know
told
that.
him I had all the VHSs. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is
Fascinating
pretty cool.
stuff. He talked
Tim's
about,
a cool dude.
there's like tunnels underneath Disney, and like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how they get the shit everywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's crazy.
Like,
I wonder if he's... Tim, are you from Southern California? I should know this.
I should
I'll
know
have
this
to-
literally because
yeah,
I talked to him
I know. I'll have to ask him.
a couple of hours
It
ago.
might have been Florida. Who knows? Yeah. That's so funny.
No. He grew up in the OC.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he
I
did.
think I just didn't know that.
He
Yeah.
worked at that one
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Anaheim. Let's get it.
because we talked about Florida, and he was like, Florida. And I
It's
was
too
like,
humid.
Damn, bro.
It's too humid. I hate it.
It is? Is it?
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Like, I've been to Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Well, Andres is like basically from Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His brother shoots music videos.
Yeah,
There.
which is hilarious.
The Suicide Boys.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
If you like horrorcore rap. It's hard to say that.
That is
Horrorcore.
a genre.
Horrorcore?
A genre. Horrorcore.
So where you at? The progress? You
Yeah.
get fired? Okay.
Our
So you-
time ended.
So you leave.
I left. Yeah, I left.
Was that hard for them?
No, they got it, dude.
Yeah,
they're
Stuart's
fucking, it's
amazing.
a machine, man.
Yeah,
They just
yeah.
turned that shit out. Are you kidding me? Yeah, they were totally fine. It was good. It was more of a call on mental health for me. I think I hit a point where I had just been through a really bad breakup, and I was just like mentally, just like, what's the word? Like I was just like destructive to myself, and I just leaned into work super hard, and just like I hate dealing with my feelings. I fucking hate it. So if I can just bury them deep.
It's just what a cook does.
Yeah, which is what a cook does.
It's what a chef does.
So I was
best.
like, I'm just gonna bury it and pickle myself
Yeah.
with lots of whiskey.
Yeah.
And so I was in kind of a weird place, and I got in. For some reason, I forgot. Oh, there was some circumstances where I just couldn't take a vacation. Like, for some reason, like other chefs were taking vacations, multiple vacations, and then we did construction at Statebird. They like tore it down and replaced like
I
a
remember
bunch
that,
of shit.
yeah.
Yeah. So there was like a point where I was literally the only chef in the building for like a few days. Like, and it was like, or like a few, like almost like the whole week. Like Stuart was gone, my CDC was gone, everyone from Statebird was gone. And so I was just like holding it down. And so I couldn't take any time off because there was no one else to take it. It was just like circumstance. Like he had like a book tour thing and then, you know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it had been a solid 2 years since I had taken any time off. And I was like, I'm going to take time off. I'm going to do it. And then there was like some sort of pushback on it. And I won't go into details, but I like looked at it and I said, they won't let me take time off without feeling bad about it. It's time to go. Mm-hmm. It's time to go. And there's nothing wrong with it. No problems. I just knew for myself that if I allowed that to happen, I would break. I would break and I would say some shit I wouldn't mean. Mm-hmm. And for me, as I've gotten older, I just would rather remove myself from the situation, take a beat, and then come back and do the right thing. And so I did. I put my notice in. I said, it's been fucking unbelievable experience, like incredible experience. Right. But if for my mental health, I must leave this place because it's just not good for me, because I'll just keep doing this like toxic thing that I'm doing to myself in this environment. You can work in that environment in a sustainable way. I just couldn't do it, you know? And so I looked myself good and hard in the mirror and I was like, dude, 4 years is such an accomplishment. Like, you worked from garde to sous chef. You got nothing to answer to. You did the best you could and you learned so much and you made lifelong friends. And I was like, dude, I feel good about it. I'm out. Mm-hmm. Drop that motherfucking mic. Boom. And then after that, I just was like, I am going to take a fucking break from the restaurant. And then immediately started working at Verjus. Which was so funny. Yeah, which is so funny.
So you just needed a change of scenery.
Yeah, I just needed a minute. You know? I just needed a minute. And
I wonder why that is, though. That, like, you know, because I've been in that boat before where you, like, ask for time off, and it's like, what do you mean?
Right.
You know, and
they don't mean it, but it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's brutal to hear, like, no, your time's not important.
Yeah, man.
Like,
or your mental health. Literally, like, your mental health is not our priority. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, loud and clear. And it wasn't, and I'm sure the intention wasn't there, but people got to understand that's how it feels, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's another big part of it, too. I don't think people realize how they make people feel. Mm-hmm. And especially when they're in it. Yeah. You know? And like, one, it's on us. It's on the person that's not saying anything.
Yeah.
And two, like, that person then learns from that and doesn't do it again. Right. So it's like, I don't necessarily know how to fix it. Yeah. But I think people just need to be mindful of the fact of how you make people feel, because it's not always like at face value.
No.
And they actually have those commercials now where the roommate comes home and he's like, hey, you want to get something to eat? And then the kid starts going into something and he's like, okay, so wings or dim sum?
Oh, yeah.
And then he's left like, oh.
Yeah.
So they're doing it now. They're trying to say something, but, you know, and that's something that I pick up on shit like that. Yeah. And somebody's like going through something, I'm like, hold on.
You're like, uh-oh. Then let's take a beat.
Crocodile Dundee 'em, and then we're good. We're good to go.
It's not a knife.
This is a knife. Fucking, so you're at Verjus. Who's the chef there?
David Meyer, what a guy.
Meyer was the chef there.
That's there, yeah. So I worked there part-time. So I kind of told him, like, hey, man, I'm just trying to chill. So he made me the AM prep cook.
That's awesome.
So stoked.
You're in at 6. No one's there.
Dude.
Loud music for 4 hours.
Oh, my God. And they had this, like, crazy vinyl.
Yeah, dude.
Because it's a natty wine bar, you know?
Yeah.
All natty wine bars, vinyl. Swear to God. Tell me I'm wrong. I loved it. It was great. I learned I learned how to like clean vinyl and stuff. It was great. But we were making, like, you know, snack food, wine bar shit. It was great. Got to meet the Tusks, who are like fucking legendary in the city.
Yep.
And then I got to like hang out with David, who I hadn't really seen since he left the Progress. And he was like, I just like latched onto him when he was there. He was just like a big brother, just a sweetheart, really cool dude.
He was that guy who like worked at all the greatest places and was so skilled that he was like unroastable.
Oh yeah. Like, well, he's also so dry. The driest motherfucker I think I've ever met.
So like you waste your breath on him. Like I'm sure chefs were like, well, I can't say anything to that guy because he just does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
It was the same thing at the laundry.
Yeah.
Same thing over there, and I love that. Gotta love it.
He's also insane. He worked at the laundry, and then he opened Red. Then he opened the Progress. Then he opened Verjus. So in a row. So he just put himself in the shits for like 7 years. Yeah. Like, who opens 4 restaurants in a row? But he was like, he wanted to see it. He wanted to see what the fuck could go wrong. You know?
I bet he, you know, by Verjus, it was like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. He was awesome. Yeah. But so funny. So Andres and I had worked in New York, and then Andres was in at Cezanne for like a minute.
Right.
So I had seen him when he was there. Like we had like hung out a few times, and you know, it's like he's one of those homies where you're just like, dude, you're in town, let's hang out. You know, you're a family at this point. And so last I had heard he had moved back to Miami, and then he was like moving back, and so I'm like, average you, and I had been there for like, I don't know, like 3 days. This motherfucker walks in for an interview, and like from across the kitchen, I'm like, motherfucker, you know, and he's trying to be all serious and shit.
David Meyer's like, hire him.
Yeah, it was so funny, and and so he told me like, yeah, man, I'm just checking it out because I think I want to, you know, eventually open a natural wine bar, and I was like, oh, and it was funny because we had a quick conversation on the phone as I was like driving away, and it was after his interview, and I was like, dude, if you get any chance to work with Chef David Meyer, you fucking take it. This dude's such a fucking legend. He's so fucking smart. He's like so passionate, and his food is so chingon. I was like, dude, just take the opportunity and just work with David Meyer, like if I can say anything.
Yeah.
And then we also had John Richter, who's like an insane butcher.
Right.
One of the best butchers I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. And so he was like downstairs, the nicest guy. And like he let me butcher like a pig with him one day.
Yeah.
Just for funsies. Like it was cool. But during that time I had gotten a job with this guy who opened up an event space in that little corridor, like across the street from the Costco in Soma. And what he had made was like this event space where you basically taught people cooking classes as like team building. Right. And so that's basically how I got to Truffle Shuffle. So it was like I was doing that part-time, and then Verjus was like good. I was just there to like sort of help them out. They hired a few more people, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. Like, and it was cool. They let me do some like wine tasting at like at Quince. I got to like go taste like crazy wines at Quince.
That's cool.
And like sit in their dining room, and I was like, wow, this is so crazy.
What's David Meyer doing now?
He is private chefing, and he's being a dad.
Good for him,
Yeah, he's got
bro.
this cute little, I think she's 4 now. I think Isabella's 4. Yeah. She's so cute. And she like, oh my God, she like speaks perfect Spanish.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Martha's Colombian. And so his wife is Colombian. And she's like the cutest little kid.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say, note on personal chefs, because there's a lot of motherfuckers out here, restaurant cooks, that talk shit on personal chefs. It's like, you couldn't do it, so then you went to fucking...
So
at the end of the day, let me tell you something. That phone you're on, this fucking equipment, those are the people that are getting cooked for. So if you want your fucking Twitter updated, you better shut the fuck up, because the personal chef is making that home a happy home.
Yeah.
So then they can be there to take care of your fucking Gmail account.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, which mainly the families that are fucking doing this shit are like the tech people.
Your search engine?
We're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want your fucking computer fixed and updated, shut the fuck up.
Dude, it's real.
All right?
I think private chefing's a fucking hell of a gig,
It is
man.
legit,
Yeah,
bro.
it's like, dude,
so
that's
much
tough.
money.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, because you're one part, in a perfect world, you would work for someone who was pleasant.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and
I'll tell you what.
being.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a little bit of servitude that goes with it.
Of course. Yeah.
And it's hard to find like people that you mesh with. But after having a few personal chef jobs, I've also realized that it's not this daunting thing.
Nah.
And that you can shop. You can shop for a family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you like got to hang out with them. So it's like they got to be cool too. I ain't trying to fucking cook for no lame motherfuckers out here. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be respectful and I'll be professional as fuck. But like, don't treat me like less than a human being.
Oh, it's wild.
Because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now.
I've heard some stories. Like, the funniest thing I think I've heard was my friend's like, yeah, so the mom doesn't want the kid to have any sugar, but if I don't have cookies in the house, she gets really mad. And I was like, well, do the cookies have sugar in them? And she goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They got to be either chocolate chip or a snickerdoodle. I'm like, snickerdoodle's like the sugariest one. And she's like, yeah. You know, and it's just like, that's right. Yeah. And I was like, my God.
You know what's funny? It's like, because we can't, as cooks and chefs, we can't separate the passion from the cooking.
Sure.
And I think sometimes when you take a job like that, understand that it is a job.
Oh, yeah.
And that you need to treat it as such.
Yeah.
And like, if she's paying you money and she wants some fucking cookies in there and her fucking child is a diabetic, who cares?
Yeah.
Here's 4 packs of cookies.
Yeah.
Here's all the cookies.
Yeah. You're like,
I'll send you pictures of cookies in the morning. and then bring you those cookies.
Like waft the cinnamon smell into
I'll literally,
the kitchen.
doesn't matter. I'll hold a lighter under a cookie.
Yeah.
Just so you can smell the fucking
Just burn
fragrance
that
of
shit.
cookie, you know?
But some people get lucky. Like they get some pretty decent.
For sure. I mean, I'm
people.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
sure
private chef
David.
is great. Yeah.
David Meyer isn't fucking working for no schleps out there.
Oh, no.
He's,
No,
he's
no.
doing it right.
Yeah.
I know he is.
But
Shout out to him though.
Oh, David Meyer, what a guy. I totally agree with what you were saying in the. It's like, it's totally okay to pay your bills, you know. And I think that anyone who ever would judge you like that, you know, like people are like, oh, you're private chefing, is like, they can suck it, you know.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, it's just like, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. Everyone's got their own journey, and I think that's something that if I was gonna tell someone who's young in this industry, is like, you may find the path most taken, and you may find the other path, and honestly, it's yours. You get to choose whatever the fuck you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And as long as you're happy and you're putting shit on the plate that you're proud of, or not, maybe you're not, maybe you're managing someone who puts something on a plate that you're passionate about, you know, like it's totally fine to like take these jobs and to make sure that you and your loved ones have all the things that they need to live this life. And
Yeah.
so I really wish someone, I think people told me that. I think at the end of the day, it's like,
But when you're a racehorse like that, when you're just like,
yeah,
because like I equate what we do to like a basketball game, a championship basketball game.
yeah,
Like every night is game 7. Everything matters so much.
for real.
Everything.
Yeah.
To the sea beans and that Gretty on the fucking menu. Like,
Shout out to Gretty.
you know, every small little fucking piece. And like it takes all of that to like create it.
Yeah.
And then you basically close every night and then come back and have to do it all again.
Yep.
Like, God bless everyone who's doing it, because it's not easy, and it is a labor of love, and it shouldn't be that hard.
I don't think so.
I feel like we make
Yeah.
it harder than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, honestly, reviews and you know, we're at the mercy of people.
Yeah, have you heard about that shit where like
Scam on
yeah,
Yelp?
the scam, the
Yeah.
Yelp scams?
Or we'll give you a 1-star.
Oh my god. How
Yeah.
fucked is that?
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's some low life shit.
It is low life shit.
Oh
but
my God, it's brutal.
I think we look at it from you know, a Western standpoint.
That's
like,
true.
Imagine if
Good
you
point. Yeah.
you know, you and your fucking 6-member family had nothing
Yeah.
except for a phone.
And you can make $75.
And then you look on Instagram and you see
yeah.
that these people are like taking a picture of a cocktail glass with a nice, you know, garnish on it. And then you're literally dirt poor and don't have shit.
That's fair.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
yeah.
I think that, yeah, it's evil and it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's like everything happens for a reason. And like they're doing that because of something.
I
don't
like
think,
it's almost, actually, it's kind of diabolically
Yeah.
smart. It's smart.
There's
I hate to say it out loud.
yeah, I mean,
it's like
dude,
diabolically smart. I'm like,
a
fuck.
criminal mind, man. It's
Yeah.
the best mind, bro. Look at you, you know?
If you pay them, isn't that like,
Are you answering the ransom?
yeah, is it like bribery? What's the word?
Yeah,
like,
I get
no, not racketeering, but what's the word?
extortion.
Extortion.
Yeah.
Ah, what a rock and a hard
I mean,
place.
whatever.
I know. I'd be
I'm
like,
just
you know
saying,
what? I'm
like,
just gonna send you
At
the
the end of the
75
day, like
bucks.
it's on social media that it's happening.
Oh,
and
yeah.
honestly, anybody that's like, you know, and I'm probably gonna piss off some people here, but anybody that's going on Yelp to
Yeah.
look for restaurants, get the fuck out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the last on the totem pole.
Yeah.
That and TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
Fools. Like go to some publications that actually spend time eating the food.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's all these food bloggers out here that actually spend time at the restaurants. And I was talking to a food blogger yesterday at Outside Lands, and she said when she doesn't like something, she eats it until she knows she doesn't like it.
Ah, she takes 2 or 3
And I'm
bites.
like, no, goes back and eats the entire dish again. And I'm like, that's badass.
that is so
That's
rare.
credible.
Yeah.
So when you don't like something, it's like, I feel like these reviews, like maybe not Michelin, because I know they make multiple visits.
Sure.
But like a newspaper, you know, critic.
Yeah.
I feel like they go once.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, what the fuck did that prove?
Right.
Like you went
Right.
one time, everyone has a bad day.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
we used to get fucking roasted, you know, a restaurant at Meadowwood used to get bad reviews. 3 Michelin on Yelp.
Yeah, they're like, it's really expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive.
You're like,
I
huh?
didn't get to pick my menu items.
Oh,
You know what I
right,
mean? But
right.
that's the people that are on Yelp. They don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But also social media is like, oh, go here. They do no research.
Yeah.
They don't even know what it is, and they just show up.
It's so
which
intense.
is cool, but also know where you're at, son.
Yeah.
Act like you've been somewhere.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, it's crazy, man. Like these, I mean, you know, being at Truffle Shuffle, like that's a big, maybe next part of our strategy is like social media is a big information giver. I can't use my words, sorry. Is a big like that's where a lot of the younger generation gets all their information.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and it's like that's
Yeah.
something that you really have to
embrace
consider.
it, whether
Yeah.
you like it or not. Like,
yeah.
it's
10,000 followers is a thing.
yeah, it's a
That's
thing
a
now.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and it
people are like,
matters.
oh, it doesn't mean anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, they make money off of that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
Yeah, which is great. I'm like, dude, get yo bread. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
get your
But I'm
bread. There's
also
enough for
like,
everybody.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the end of
I'm
the day,
like, oh no.
more of the people, you know, that have a stronger, you know, common sense when it comes to things like abortion and dumbass issues that
Sure.
shouldn't even be an issue are going to have the money.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's only about a matter of time, 10 years, about these people die off.
Right.
And then we'll have some neck tattoos in Congress.
Oh my
and
God.
then you
so
know
many
it'll
face
be
tattoos.
on, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, that's sometimes that I think that where I'm just like, can't wait till we start taking over.
Yeah, it's
Like
gonna be. I mean,
the
at this
90s
point,
babies.
we are the demographic.
It's true.
If you don't notice every single
Yeah.
commercial,
Yeah.
like look at the Super Bowl this past year. All
Oh,
of it was
yeah.
music geared towards us.
That's true.
Everything now is geared towards us.
It's so crazy. Is that
30-year-olds,
crazy?
yeah.
Wow.
Like,
No.
it's crazy. Because I was at Outside Lands and I'm like, where are your parents?
Yeah.
And like these fucking 13-year-old girls walking around with nothing on. I'm like, what is going on here?
I know.
Am I crazy?
Yeah.
But then maybe that's always how it's been.
We've always been here, Sucio. We've always been here, Sucio. No, it's crazy because it's like, I don't know, sometimes, speaking about Outside Lands, we were talking about like, you know, the impact on some of these music awards, and it is crazy to see like the youth and the little things that they care about. And I will say there was this really great show called The Candidate that was made by like the American Horror Story people. And basically like there's a part where they talk about what millennials care about and like a big sort of divide they had from like the older generation and the younger generation was like climate change and like how like their like the earth is going to be like a big factor for the younger generation. And then, you know, you go to like these festivals and it's just like people are just like literally just littering the park. And I don't know, it's like tough for me because I'm like, man, are we like really going to like make a difference in this generation if we don't start talking about that kind of stuff now, you know? And so I don't know, it's like so tough because I'm always like, yeah, man, like the next generation is going to be, that's going to be it. But I'm like, man, like what do we need to do to make sure that's really what they care about? But then again, it's like the things that I care about are going to be way different than what someone who's 18 is going to care about, you know? And so it's tough because yeah, we're the demographic. And so it's like, what do we do to make sure that we're like really imprinting like what we think are good values
Yeah.
and serious problems? Because people don't talk to each other as much anymore.
Nope.
Like this, like hanging out. Like we're actually
That's why
in a
this is
room
happening.
together. Yeah.
That's
and
why
I'm
this is
like,
happening. I'm tired of it.
wow,
I don't
yeah.
do Zoom fucking podcasts. I can't.
No.
I won't do. I mean, I'll probably do it once or twice because
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. And then when I get the live show going, I'm gonna take phone calls.
Yeah.
So that it'll be a thing. But I'm kind of just weary of where we're going in terms of communication.
It's crazy.
It's getting a little weird, and I feel like we're all separating into pods. It's like we're not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be together in a tribe.
No, yeah.
So, you know, I want you to listen to this podcast, but I also want you to put your fucking phone down and pay attention to your fucking spouse.
Yeah.
And like, you know, make some love out there.
It's crazy. Like,
Have a party. We don't have enough parties.
we don't have enough parties.
My family used to have tons of parties.
Remember kickbacks?
Yeah.
Remember that term?
I used to know who my I used to know who my uncles were.
Yeah.
And when I look back,
it's like a person.
my fucking cousins and shit have had kids. They have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
No idea.
Isn't that crazy?
Because I spent so much time fucking trying to be a chef and like traveling all these places to cook, and now I live in California. They're all in Puerto Rico and shit. And it's like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm
so
the Northern
like,
California
fuck,
uncle.
Man.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you got to start your own family, I guess.
Oh my God, your own people.
At the end of the day, yeah, own little David's running around.
That is one of the cool things about kitchens, though, is that like you're forced to be with each other for so many hours.
You know, it's
a social thing. Yeah.
It teaches you to forgive people for their like dumb shit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, he's just whatever.
Yeah.
But you love him anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the very few places, like when they say you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family.
Yes.
Like you can't pick your cooks either. Like you
cannot pick your
if
station
they work
partner.
there, you just have to make it work.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a testament, something you learn.
Yeah.
And I've known, you know, chefs to be like, oh, well, if you guys can't work together, one of you has to go. Because it's not like the restaurant or the situation. It's you that can't work with anybody else. And it's like, damn.
You have to share.
Lessons,
yeah,
bro.
you have to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, it's not
Especially
all
as an
about
only
you.
child, for me, I was like, I'd like to be on Garbage Day by myself, chef.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we have 80 covers, sir. Shut your mouth and have your station partner.
You have to delegate. You're
Yes,
like,
sir.
No,
Yeah,
he's
right.
gonna do it all, or they're gonna do it all.
They're gonna do it wrong. But
I
again,
know.
if we just had a little bit more of a nurturing atmosphere, like the WD50 atmosphere, that was like, okay, you made a mistake, let's fix it.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, you made a mistake, you are the worst piece of trash in
It's like, why are you
history
here?
of human beings.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of shit doesn't allow people to want to make mistakes enough to learn more shit. Then they get scared.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to go on meat because I don't know how to cook meat. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's the whole reason to go on fucking meat.
Just cook it until you cannot forget how to cook it.
Yeah, cook it until you feel really bad for having
juices.
overcooked some shit
Oh,
and
it's
not
the
being able to
worst.
send it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that dry duck. You don't want to, you can't, with duck, you suffer.
Well, do you have one thing? What's like the one thing you overcooked to just like
Duck.
oblivion? Was it duck? Yeah.
Because it goes over so quick.
She's such a sensitive lady.
I know.
You know? I
it's
get
just
it.
like, I love cooking them on the crown because that gives you a
Yeah.
little bit more control.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there's so many times where it's just like, you flip it over, it's medium rare, and the next minute it's medium well.
You're like, God,
You
it's
cut
so
into it and it's like gray, blood's coming out. It's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Cover it in the demi.
Yeah.
The fucking farro risotto.
Oh, I love a good farro risotto.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna make a better one.
Dude, one time we had this, we did, I think it was like 60 lamb saddle for this fucking event we did in LA. It was
Yeah.
like Wiley and me and JJ. And we were doing it in this like weird kitchen stadium thing they had set up in like the Staples Center. And
Yeah.
so it was like cameras and lights, like Nancy Silverton was there and like a bunch of like big names and shit. And I'm like with Chef Wiley and I'm like, yeah, wee. And then we're cooking it outside and it's like the lighting outside, because we're cooking like outside in like these like fucking rental ovens, and the lighting was like really shitty outside, and so we cut into one and like JJ's like, they're overcooked. And we're talking like a fuck ton. We're talking like 60 saddles. And then I was just like, dude, there's no way. Like we touched every single one. There's no way. And then he's just like, you could see the color loss in his face. Yeah, I was like, dude, there's no way. There's no way you overcooked these. Like I was there. There's no way. And then we got back into the stadium lighting and they were like perfect. But like I don't think I've ever seen someone's body or soul leave their body.
But
like that, man, yeah. And I was like, dude, there's no way.
Dude,
there's no way.
I'm
It was
telling you.
terrifying. I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I went off the ride. Dude, it was so funny. But yeah, oh, God, so stressful. These things that stress you out. You like, we literally wake up years later, you're in the shower, and you're like, you know.
Yeah, it comes right back to you. I'm telling you.
It sucks.
That shit happens to me, too. Those
Dude.
nightmares never end.
No, it's because you give a shit.
Yeah, it's been 2 years, and it's still the same. Like, man, I feel bad about that fucking thing that I cooked that time.
That one time? Yeah.
Yeah, or that I forgot, or that I didn't close the walk-in door and the whole produce went bad.
Oh,
No,
my
I
God.
didn't do that.
No, but that could.
But
that's
somebody
the thing.
definitely did.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
You know?
1,000%.
Especially
With a low boy.
those walk-ins that are outside.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's when those go down.
Dude.
You got to put ice everywhere.
Ugh.
It's like a fucking thing. You're squeegeeing the water out.
So fun.
Yeah.
Miss
great.
those. Good times.
But, well, Connie, I think we leave it there.
Dude, this was great.
We'll have you on again.
I'm super stoked. And
Yeah.
if you ever need catering.
Connie McGuire. Oh, yeah. We're selling some catering out here. Done by Connie. For Connie.
Yeah.
By Connie. For you.
Dude, get it. Connie
We're-
Caters SF
Connie Caters SF.
at gmail.com.
All right. Connie Caters SF at gmail.com. This has been a Sucio Talk production. Fucking see you guys later.
Bye, friends. Awesome.